So if you guys wanted to stick around and actually do some harvesting, you can see all these beautiful fruit that are ready to pick. Lots of herbs
after
as
today,
well.
yeah.
Do you guys do lots of vegetables and things like that? Do any berries?
Ever since I broke my back,
that's no fun.
we haven't done much.
Oh, it's so hard.
And we used to do what's called Mittleider gardening. I don't know if you've heard this.
Gracious, that's nothing but chemicals.
It's true.
Are you kidding?
And
oh, that's sad.
And it's too much work, like.
And it's also a lot of work, huh?
Because of all the weeding and stuff, and I can't be bent over all the time like that.
It didn't take care of the weeds, even though it kills everything, including all the insects and microbes in the soil.
It does.
It didn't kill the weeds, though, huh?
No.
Wow. And how long did you eat this food?
Just one season.
We only did the one season.
Oh, thank goodness. That stuff's poison.
Several years ago, we went to Paul Gauchi's, and
that was beautiful, wasn't it?
It was beautiful.
I bet you guys loved
it.
That
Was
experience.
beautiful. Yeah,
that was
what
cool.
a neat man.
Yeah.
You know, and
awesome.
he was given this gift by God. I mean, he literally tells you, God took me in the forest and told me, this is how you do it, right? Look how I created everything so beautiful.
Yeah.
Now just do it like this. Don't reinvent the wheel with the Mittleider method.
But
instead, just put it back together, because it's so perfectly designed, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you look at his soil, and you look at the food that he produces on his land, and look at how disabled he is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's amazing what this man has done all these years.
He is a hard worker.
How many thousands and thousands of people has he probably helped to learn this, right? It's amazing. That's such a beautiful story.
But then we came back here, we buried so we have this hill that was annoying to mow, and so I wanted to get rid of it. And we buried it in wood chips.
Yes.
And then the wood chips just dried out, and that was it. I never did anything.
Do anything else. Is that when you broke your back?
And that was, I was giving it a year or two to break down.
Just break down. Okay.
And then the next year, and I planted like strawberries in it and asparagus in it.
You got some good soil.
But none of them ever did anything, because it was too dry, and we didn't water.
So does Paul ever mulch his soil after the wood chips?
Well, I mean, this is what he has. This is.
But he doesn't mulch it.
No.
He just creates the living soil and then never covers it with anything else.
He does every year. He takes and he sifts his chicken compost.
Yeah, it's manure, but he
and
needs
puts
to
that
cover
in.
it.
And he doesn't.
Because
he doesn't cover it.
especially here in Utah, right? So dry.
That's the
If it sits there, all those microbes you just grew and raised in there, the fungi, the bacteria, the nematodes, everything, all the arthropods, if they sit in the hot sun, they die.
Yeah.
They're drying out and they're dying. And so I'm surprised he doesn't tell people now. He's got tons of rain though, and he lives pretty much
that's
on
the difference.
So that's the difference. He's got a lot of moisture, so his life in the soil probably survives.
Yeah.
But we're so hot in the desert, and if you don't
that
have
was
trees
that was the problem that we hit.
It just dries out.
It just dried right out.
Raised.
Yeah.
All those poor little guys are trying to go down lower and lower, you know. And
we did get a bit of fungus. We did get a bit of fungus in it that first year.
Yeah, I bet you did, because the moisture, after the first year you put all wood chips on your soil, that moisture comes right in the spring, and then all the fungi come up.
Yeah.
So you know it's decomposing down in there, all those wood chips, and you know something's happening, but unfortunately you need to continue.
But you cover, see, I thought I was picturing the wood chips as the cover. But you cover the wood chips because that's where the life is at, is in the wood chips.
I'm not cooking wood chips.
Oh, yeah, you're not
putting wood chips on my soil. My soil is living soil. And all the life in it is just keeping the moisture, keeping a sponge.
So you only have wood chips on the path.
They're feeding the plants. That's what they're doing. Once you've got the microbes in there, and you can keep adding compost, you can keep adding compost tea, because you want that life to continue to grow and populate and everything. And they're turning our sandy or clay or whatever kind of soil we have, they're turning it into this living sponge that holds moisture and that feeds and interacts with the plants. But because we're in this hot, dry desert, we have been in a drought for a long time, and we've never seen 34 days of 100 degrees. That's a record, right? And so we don't know what's going to come next, but we do know it's harsh on the life in the soil. It's harsh on the plants and trees. And so what's great about permaculture, and I don't even like to call it permaculture. I like to call it nature because that's what it is. And you know what you tell people, do you know what permaculture is? They'll be like, no. Do you know what nature is? Oh yeah, of course. Of course, we go camping just to get into nature. We love nature. It's healthy. It's wonderful, right? And it takes care of itself. You go up in the mountains and you see a forest, okay, which there's not much left. I was up driving to Heber, you guys, around Deer Creek and into Heber, and I looked around and said, it really is dry up here. There's hardly anything growing. Only when you get into parts of the canyon do you see a lot of vegetation, beautiful trees, everything else. And then this farmer told me, even the trees in the Uintas are dying.
Really?
And I said, really? Oh, how's that possible? Well, there's all these beetle problems. And I thought, it's a lot more complicated. The bugs only come when the vegetation is weak. That's when the bugs come and infest, because the plants are weak. You wouldn't want to eat them anyway. They won't survive.
Right.
And so the bugs come and do what they're supposed to do. Then they decompose everything. And then guess what? Life starts. The cycle starts over again, right?
Yeah.
And so when he said that, I thought, oh my goodness, we need to hurry up. We're trying to work with the Forestry Department and Division of Natural Resources and everybody, educating them about what they call agroforestry. And I got to speak at one of those big 5-state summits this week, which was so fun. I was surprised how many of us were talking permaculture. It was really exciting. But they're slowly learning that our nature, our ecosystems really need to be put back the way they were designed, as a holistic system, right? And that's what we're trying to do, and that's what you want to do, obviously. You want to do this, Joseph, and you want to have this for your family, but you're still young. I'm old in my 60s, and it's hard, especially being disabled. It's really hard. I don't want to have to work the rest of my life. And the fact that no weeds would grow after 3 years, I had a few bindweed, and then finally nothing would come back, that's what the wood chips have been helping with. That's what the microbes have been helping with, because they're grazing living organisms in the soil, and they're decompacting the soil, so the weeds have no purpose, so they don't come back, because they're the ones that decompose the soil. All those deep taproot weeds that you see out on the empty spaces, that if you bulldoze your place and then you leave it alone, what comes up? Thistles and dandelions and all these different kinds of plants come up, because that's their job. Man just compacted the soil. We are here to save the day. And that's what they do. And what do? We spray it with Roundup and we kill everything, including ourselves. So it's like, okay, you guys, could we just learn the purpose of everything? That's what we need to learn. What is the purpose of a deep root taproot plant? To decompose the soil. So that plant that's there is telling me, hey, don't compact the soil again or I have to come back. So you don't want that weed anymore? Then don't compact the soil. It's that simple. We just look at nature and it teaches us. And then you look at the soil and you've got good, living, rich soil, but it'll tell you, cover me with vegetation and part shade, cover me with some mulch of some type. It could be leaves, grass clippings. I used to use straw. I really do. I just like the consistency of the straw, and my cover crops grow right through it beautifully. I have a little harder time using leaves because they just smash down, and my little germinating cover crop seeds that also feed the microbes, right? And do other things as far as when you first start with loose soil. These plants all have jobs, and they know what they're supposed to do. They came with their little instructions, you know, their DNA. This is what I do under what conditions, folks. Okay, get out of my way. This is what I'm going to do. And in nature, they just let each other do what they're supposed to do. It's almost like they're communicating with each other, saying, I know what you're supposed to do. And if they could talk, they would say things like that. Oh, I know you. Your hairnet roots that will literally solidify the soil together, while the other guys are loosening the soil with their deep roots. You know, they all have their jobs. It's really interesting, isn't it? And then you've got the nitrogen fixers, all the legumes and stuff. What's their job? To feed nitrogen to the plants. I'll just turn this off. You know, that's their job. That's totally their job of what they're supposed to do. And so they all know, and people think, because that's how human thinks, that they compete with each other. Or like they'll take all the nutrients over here And, you know, this plant will take the nutrients and this plant will do that. No, that's what humans do. Nature's got it all figured out because they literally know how to share it with each other. They do. They were designed that way, that they have relationships with each other. Hi, Mr. Comfrey, Mr. Curly Doc. You guys are going to bring us all the minerals, aren't you? And guess what? The fungi, little fingers, go all around. They move it, and they help communicate. Who needs what, guys? It's like we have this little construction crew going on underground, and they're taking, you know, the fertilizer from over here, and they're bringing it to this tree and plant, and they're all just moving around, doing their thing. And I would love, because I love to teach children, I would love to create a cartoon, even for preschool, that literally we teach all these little players and what's going on about nature. So these kids that are brilliant, do you know at 4 years old, Josh is 3, right?
Yeah. Well, he's turning 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's turning 3. When he turns 4, let me tell you, if he can come here, start learning about nature and everything, this family from Alpine, they had one Down syndrome that was just precious and smart. They had, Isaiah was like my favorite little guy. Then they had a 4-year-old. And we were planting together. Mom and Dad were kind of letting me work with the 4 boys and plant cover crops. And they remembered everything that I said, and they each had their own job. One had the straw to cover with a blanket. So when they germinate, right, I told them that, I didn't even say sprout, I said germinate, big word. When they germinate, that little blanket is going to keep them from freezing, isn't it? Because we're planting this in February, and they're all like, yeah, we better put a blanket on them and protect them. So little kids get it, right? And we're planting everything, and we're adding all the different kinds of amendments to the soil. And then all of a sudden, guy just says, hey, can I come back and see when my seeds germinate? His parents and I both went, excuse me?
That's a big word, dude.
That's a big word, and he knew exactly what he was saying.
Oh.
When they germinate, I'd like to see it. I had a hand in this. I planted this. Can I come back and see this? And they planted there on their beautiful property with all the little ones, all planted together. And then we put in a school, because every year we do what's called a permaculture. So this was our 8th annual this year that we did. I have a different flyer for that one, but it's only online. We did a school that's for homeschooling families in Tooele. We all got together, kids and parents and everybody, and neighbors came and everyone, and we helped put that garden in for that school with trees and hugel beds and planted the cover crops, covered it with straw. We just did the whole works, you guys. It was so much fun planning together. So that's what we do once a year, okay? So that little family with their cute little boys came with their garden gloves, came with their little hats to Sago Lily School, which is K through 12. It's a private school.
2 blocks away from us.
No.
That's
She's talking about something else.
in, no, this is Sago Lily Private School.
Oh.
That's in Murray.
We live next to
Stay
Sago
here,
Lily.
We put in 4 hugel beds over 2 days, and the kids helped put in the kitchen garden, planting all the little vegetable plants and everything into the garden that we prepared, along with berries and some fruit trees and stuff. And then we worked with the parents on the big hugel beds, and we seeded those with cover crop. And we put shading quick, what I coined the phrase, quick growing shade, because it's so hot when there's no shade. Out in the hot sun, it was such a hot place where the school was having us put this in. So I discovered that if I plant a row of, on the west side to shade that sun, if I plant a row of sunflowers, then it shades it really quickly that summer, while the little plants are starting to grow.
And then you don't have, because I know when you started with Jerusalem artichokes.
No, I started with sunflowers. The
Did
first
you?
few years were sunflowers.
Oh, okay.
Later I decided, look at these cool sunchokes. They grow straight up, great stalks. They kind of can grow together better than a sunflower.
Oh, so you started with sunflowers?
Yeah, and so I added sunchokes later. But I would recommend, if you're in the hot sun, you have no shade, do the sunflowers the first few years, because the sunchokes are more water hungry, and sunflowers don't want any water.
Oh.
Yeah, sunflowers are amazing. That's why they grow all over Utah. You see them everywhere, don't you? You see all these wild sunflowers. And they bring these cute little golden finches that sit there and hang upside down, and they pick all the seeds, right? Isn't that cute? You want to hear a funny story?
Yeah.
There was this bluebird. We get those scrub bluebird, not blue jays. And he was watching, because we had tons and tons of sunflowers over on that side. And he was watching the little yellow finches hanging upside down and getting all those sunflowers. And so he decided one day as I walk out my front door, and I wish I had my camera going because it cracked me up. Here's this bluebird hanging on this little tiny sunflower for dear life trying to get sunflowers. And boom, he just dropped right in front of me.
What?
I didn't know birds didn't land on their feet. I thought they did, like cats, right? He just boom on the ground. I was like, oh. And then I started laughing at him. It was almost like I embarrassed the bird. I totally embarrassed him. And I laughed so hard. I just thought that is the funniest thing. And I said, nature is really funny. They have a sense of humor. And I bet God does too. Because it was so hilarious. And I have spent 8 years here. Amber, I love being in nature. I love that I could create a little habitat. This isn't just food, you know.
Yeah.
This is a habitat for all kinds of creatures that come here, and I interact with them, and it's just the most beautiful feeling and experience, and it's so joyful to be in here. And I'm gonna cry because next week it's gonna start dying, and I'm gonna miss it because it all goes to sleep for the winter. But next spring, you guys, so fast, because it warms up fast now these days. Boom! It just explodes back, and it's bigger and stronger and more, you know, productive every single year. It's like, holy cow. You know, you can't believe how it works. I'm not planting anything except flowers because I'm always liking to put pretty flowers outside. So people have flowers I can dig out, and I go plant them outside, and then I go, now you're going to have to water those things every single day because it's hot.
The ones in pots out there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my problem. Stop doing that and you won't have to work. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
every year I say, I'm not planting any tomatoes or peppers or anything else, and then I plant a few over there. I'm not planting any flowers this year. Every
Well, see,
year.
I like this.
Do you
Like
this?
just this
Cover?
this ability to just sit in shade like this.
Isn't it beautiful?
That's-
But we're going to walk through all sorts of natural shade things. When this trumpet flower, wisteria, honeysuckle all grow together, then I will take off these artificial things, and it'll be just as cool and wonderful with that filtered light. When you guys look behind you, look at how gorgeous that little wall of leaves is.
Yeah.
Isn't that
It is
beautiful?
It
And
is.
it's all natural. And that's what you want to create.
Yeah.
And you can do that. You will have so much fun. Don't worry. I don't have a green thumb. I don't know how you did all this. Oh, don't worry. I didn't know what I was doing. Except for the design of permaculture. But I didn't know I could just drape these plants. I didn't know the grapevines would create these gorgeous arches and trellises. I didn't know a lot of stuff, you know? But then I watched them do it. And I went, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think I'll do more of this and put you over here and you do your thing, you know? And it's amazing to see what nature can do if you allow it. You step back. You have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing not to intervene and just let nature. Just let it do what it does best. Every once in a while, you'll see there was a mistake somewhere and you do have to do a little tweaking. But most of the time, what happens as your food forest evolves in your garden and stuff is that you intervene less and less and less. You step back. You step back and watch it. Go watch on YouTube. You'll remember this because you're filming. Watch on YouTube a 23-year-old food forest of this couple that got a totally dumpy yard. The house was just falling apart. The stream was full of trash. The whole place was trashed. So they got a good deal. These were a young family, and they were just brilliant. And now, 23 years later, they have this forest that when you look from above, it's like, wow. Because I think it's 23 acres also. But it's 23 years old, but that was a few years ago. Now it's much older. But they take you through this amazing forest. They just kind of sit around. You know, they're older now, and they're just like enjoying it.
I mean, that's what Paul Gauchi said when we went to go see his. Was now, especially that he's getting older and his disabilities are growing, so he's like, I don't have to do anything.
I don't have to do anything at all. It just keeps coming back.
Well, if he had built his more as a forest, like he even mentioned that he should do that, and he's like, but part of me requires, like, his OCD requires rows.
But he liked his rows. He made his short little trees, though.
Yeah.
So they're short, you know?
And he started planting underneath them.
He did start.
And has found that it works just as well.
It works
like,
beautifully.
yeah,
because
so,
that's what they need.
Yeah.
See, nature doesn't like to leave bare ground. Only man does. He leaves it bare, and then things start to take over. But nature loves to cover every inch, and they will. My mints are coming across the richland pathway, so we have to walk on them. But that's what they choose to do.
And they smell nice when you walk
on.
on them.
Do the same thing, and they'll grow in the pathway, right? So I always tell my students, come and dig out. That's my pear.
Yeah, that's what, there's like there's a little pear there.
Rescued tree. That's number one.
Really?
Number one rescued tree right there.
Oh, and that's the tree.
In August on KSL, the guy posted it. He had dug out some pear tree, didn't know what kind. He had left the roots out in the hot sun. The leaves all burned off by the time I got there that day. And everyone says, that tree's dead. Why are you trying to save that tree? It's not going to survive. Look at the pears on that sucker 8 years later.
Well, this
is it amazing?
Looks like our same exact pear tree.
You think you have it? It turns kind of a reddish.
Well, this is the first year we've gotten pears on it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was little when we started.
It's about as big as one of your branches.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
But
but you love it. You're gonna.
It's like 6 years old. And it should be big. It's not.
It should.
It's
but
little.
We're gonna give it some companions.
It needs friends.
We're gonna give it nitrogen fixer, like that Siberian pea shrub right there. That's nitrogen.
Oh, this one next to it.
Do you see the?
Yeah,
right
I mean
there? Do you see
this.
The pattern of the leaves?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. This looks like a nitrogen fixer.
That's a nitrogen fixer because they have that pattern of leaf, don't they? In the pea family, the black locust you'll see, the Siberian pea shrubs, the false indigo lead plant. They all have that pattern of leaf, and so does the cover crop in the pea family, which is called the hairy vetch. They have the same pattern of leaves, and it's really fun to get to know all these plants.
And see, we've got a giant tree.
Yeah.
That has those leaves. I wonder what it is.
It could be a locust.
It could be. It doesn't have the seed pods.
So the black locust had the seed pods, but the honey locust doesn't.
I think ours is a honey locust.
Is it? That's cool because that was the one I was going to buy.
Tiny
so
leaves, right? It's the tinier leaves, and they fall all over.
Yeah.
You don't mind because they're covering your soil. Okay, so that's good.
They get in our pool.
Don't blow it away like my neighbors into the street. They're so silly. They don't even realize what they're pushing away and taking to the dump.
Right?
If we could teach them, but I think it's great. You're going down a journey, you guys. That's what all of us did. From square foot gardening of my old dad to somebody said, but don't you know bio-intensive farming where you do double digging and then you grow things together, complementary.
This is the path that I've been down. Like I've researched that one.
It made sense.
It does.
And then eventually they didn't.
And then they stopped talking about it. Oh yeah.
I don't know why they stopped talking about it. I still, John Jevons, I still get stuff. He came to Utah once and I have his book and everything and grow more vegetables. But that led me to another woman who came to see my attached sunken greenhouse that I retrofitted so I could use it all year round. She said, have you heard of hugelkultur? I'm like, heard of what? What? That was a funny word.
Definitely.
You know? And I was like, no, what is it? And hugelkultur, which we played with, I made a little mini hugel bed in the backyard, and somebody brought me sunchokes at that time. And comfrey. And so I said, let's test these guys out on the hugel bed, which was lots of manure, the logs, covered it up. Didn't know about mulch back then, but the plants just kind of took it over.
Crazy,
And I said, wow, these suckers grew to 12 feet. Wow, my comfreys are huge. Wow, this hugelkultur works really good. I love it, right? Because it's replicating the forest. It's like when a tree dies and the fungi start to grow on it, start to decompose that tree, then the tree falls, and all that fertilizer that's
just available.
It's mulched heavily by his leaves, then all the little saplings come up through that because they got all that nourishment. That old tree is now feeding the new life. Thanks to the fungi and the bacteria and the protozoa and the nematodes and everybody else, arthropods, they are helping that cycle of life. And that's how the forest works. It's a cycle. One dies, another one grows, and they just continue the life cycle. It's really beautiful. But once you understand all this, it starts to make sense, right? So what the other thing is that we also have to learn to do, besides understanding how nature works, right, is I go with my students and they go out, whether a small yard with an A-frame or like this 38-acre property.
That thing that I just built yesterday. I just built the A-frame for the contour lines.
But you see, on 38 acres out in the middle of farmland where they're wasting so much water that their water table's going down to 400 feet.
Yeah.
They can't keep that up much longer, not in this drought, because if that snow isn't coming down and replenishing the groundwater, they're not going to have wells to
Yeah.
get that water up from, okay? And they're not going to be able to water the way they waste water on these fields, these farmers. So farmers are starting to learn better systems, working with nature. So what we did is we drove around the whole property, and we noticed as we drove around that down the road, because it had just rained, there was mud, and that water came down because it was eroding away along the soil. That water would come down and she could take it on her property. That's a great source of water off that road, all along the side of her property.
That's like ours does.
That's one source of water, right? But then when she starts to build everything on her land here, which she's got a shed, she's going to have a wallapini, eventually she'll build a house there, she can take water every time it rains off her roof. And I'm going to show you some systems here, okay, of how we did that as well. And then we noticed there were 2 lines of plants that were growing along here. So obviously they must have moisture coming. And we saw they came on the property from the farmer's land and came down like this, and we saw mud at the end of them. So we knew that water was traveling onto her property in certain areas.
Okay.
So there's just 3 sources of water coming on the property, off the road, and off rooftops, without ever drilling a well.
Yeah.
On top of all the moisture that comes in, if we build a food forest with a canopy and everything, we can hold that moisture in the ground.
It won't evaporate away.
Exactly. And so you can go a whole month and still not have to water because everything's protected and the moisture's staying in there. The soil is alive and everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. And you've got the layers of the vegetation also keeping it from evaporating, because it's 20 degrees cooler in here than it is when it's 100 outside. It'll be 80 in here.
Right.
And then if you got this vegetation in the winter, you guys, we're gonna have a couple hard freezes. My plants are gonna freeze to death inside for a while. It will eventually, because all the leaves fall off. But in the beginning, it's insulation.
It lasts
So
longer.
you're extending your seasons.
So you won't lose anything. Like, it's supposed to freeze this Sunday.
Some of
But
the parts of this
You won't
forest
lose
I'll show
everything.
you. We won't lose everything. Everything that sticks out like a sore thumb and isn't protected,
Then it won't.
boom, freeze to death. So I'm going to harvest all the comfrey leaves I can before it freezes them if they're out in the open. But everything inside, sheltered, will be a little toastier and they won't freeze as fast, you see?
Yeah.
And that's what you want to do. You want to literally do that. So that's
Oh,
what we do first, is we survey your property, teach you how to survey it all.
Yeah.
Then before we get to the fun stuff of ordering all the native plants and trees, roof borders, which we get really cheap here. And when you get a bundle of 5 for $25, okay, you can look at this. Sometimes we get even bundles of 10, depending on which
What is that?
people we get them from.
Spring.
So you guys could order some of those with us. We do those usually in
Cool.
February. Pick them up in April. But those are a lot of the native berry
Oh, and
bushes.
so it's right from the Department of Agriculture
Yes,
here.
Exactly. Isn't that nice that we have
Yeah.
that access
That's
as
cool.
well
That's cool.
as this one we're hoping comes back to growing more than just, they're doing an experiment right now for the forestry department of trying to grow the strongest way to grow little plants and then revegetate big areas and stuff.
Oh,
So we're
okay.
doing it with sage right now. And he took me around through the greenhouse and showed me all these beautiful sage plants, and he's selling some to us at his cost this year, right now, this month, so it'll be fun. But he used to grow all these. These are native to Utah. These are as native as they get. They took the seeds from Utah. They grow these beautiful plants. Don't they sound yummy? You got Saskatoon, serviceberry.
Golden
you've got-
currants are native here?
Yes, they all grow in the mountains here. You've got the white currant, the black currant, the red currant, and the golden currant.
No.
Isn't that
Wow.
wonderful? And so we used to buy them at that cheap as a group order, you know, all the students and I, every year we're ordering
So
all this
just-
great stuff and picking it up as one big order. Paul, he lives in Centerville, where he and his wife raised his kids, but now the kids are all grown and everything. They're bugging out and moving out to the desert, 100 acres.
Wow.
This is 100 acres.
100 acres.
But they got so lucky. I've never had anybody get this lucky. The guy that's selling him the land had already designed permaculture water catchment to ponds off the hillside. This is a big hill here. Off the hillside to ponds, then moving the water on contour through the land,
Wow.
which he already started planting some things. He had a bunch of willows right here. The passive solar house was there. So this was a great start. But what did we do with that? Because he had to find more of the contour lines. Is we designed, so here is zone 1, that section there. Is that this one?
I'll grab that one.
So where the rows of willows are right there that you see right there, zone 1, that little tiny section, because that is 100 acres, so we have to make that each square is like 61 feet. But here we blow up just that zone 1 section right there, and here it is. There's the willows.
Josh.
Here's the water coming down on contour.
Hey, no.
No, Josh, not the flower. Not the flower, sweetie. No.
Don't hurt those. You gotta sit with Mom.
Oh, sweetheart. You gotta be careful. We gotta enjoy them while we can until they freeze. You don't want to pick the flowers. No, you got all these toys, Josh. Come here. Come here, Josh. Let's play only with toys, okay?
Remember how we said we were gonna keep him with us?
I know. We forgot. We got excited.
Got sidetracked.
There you go, Josh. You got all these
Blocked him in. That's a good
You know
idea.
that tractor makes a noise? Try to figure out how the tractor makes a noise, Josh.
Ooh,
Let's
find the noise.
Nice noise. That's a farmer's tractor. Listen to that, Josh. Isn't it cool, buddy? Isn't that fun, sweetie? The boys always find that. Boys like to
Yeah, they
figure
can find the noise
out.
stuff real quick.
They do. Boys are builders. Right. And so they take stuff apart and they figure it out. They're good at that. It's so funny how boys and girls just think differently. So anyway, we ordered 500 hardy fruit trees, berry bushes, nut trees, everything. And this is just one section where he's already put them all in. Wow. How exciting is that? And it's only that tiny little area. Tiny part here, I know. But he's got a great start. We want to do what's close to the housing first. Then we'll work on all the other sections. We're going to tree a lot of stuff here. We're going to put a lot of desert, dry, drought-resistant plants out here. But in here, where we're getting lots of moisture, he does have a well. He does have secondary irrigation for now. But the rest of this is designed so it'll live just on what rain comes down and flows through this design and feeds these. As these get big and they shade themselves and they mulch themselves, and you have continual food that comes forever. This is the other little section that's over next to the road over here. By the houses again. This is the other one. Look at all the trees and bushes he put in. Isn't that exciting though? When you could do stuff like this, you know, and get down the chin. And he was such a great student. He found the contour line. So there's that one section that has all the willows. But you can see he really found the contour lines that go through his property. So he knows how to move the water. That's what you've got to do. You've got to move the water level so it doesn't go in one place, you know.
Because it pulls everything good with it if it's going too fast.
If it's going too fast,
it just rips
goes
through your stuff.
And evaporates. But if it flows through gently through a system that puts it in the ground, then it saturates that part, then it moves on to the next part, saturates that part, and so on. And so you slowly establish that.
That's what I'm working on right now in my yard.
That's what you're going to learn
in this winter.
Because
just cutting those.
This is what Bill Mollison and Jeff Lawton say all the time. Don't waste countless hours of thoughtless labor. Take the time and observe and plan it right first. Take the time in the beginning and design it all, so then you just put it in and you're not redoing and redoing and redoing and redoing. It's like, oh gosh, that's the way most people garden. They're like, and most people tell you, oh, I'm just going to try a little bit of permaculture. I'll just try it. I'm like, you can't try nature. You have to either do it the way nature wants to do it, or it won't work. You can't just try it, okay? So you don't want to waste time and money. And time to me is worth everything. That's why I'll rescue a tree that was already 2 years old, or 5 years old, some of these. I'll rescue a tree and I just save 5 years of growth. You know? That's what you want to do, right? You don't want to waste time, because that's kind of sad when people do stuff like that. Where did I put my little book?
The little black book?
My little black book?
Oh, it's just next to you in the chair.
There I am. I got everything here. So I'm just going to put it all in here. And then we will go walking around. I'm glad you found some cool stuff, Josh.
So, is this a goji berry?
It is.
I thought so.
And it's spreading everywhere, isn't it? So
yeah, it's like a giant amount of them.
If Josh can hang out with us long enough, then we can pick some goji berries because they need to be harvested. We don't want to waste anything, right? Now, remember one important thing. There's 3 ethics in permaculture. take care of the system, the whole earth, take care of other people that we should also have in there, but I guess it's in the earth part. Take care of nature. Feed the ones that feed you. They're doing jobs that help us in the system, so make sure they have plenty of food. The plants, the birds, the insects.
Yeah, like feed the birds because they're going to eat some of the insects you don't want, and
they
feed the insects you do want. Yeah.
And they poop fertilizer, and they do all sorts of great things for us. And they'll even bring seeds and plant for us. It's funny when you see a tree, you're like, how did that get planted here? I didn't do it. Yet you're such a gift. You're beautiful and you have the most delicious plums. Thank you, birds. Thank you. It's really fun when you interact and laugh with nature. It's just like, oh, this is so fun. It's like your life changes. You're so happy, you guys. And I know that's the journey you are on because you went and visited Paul. You've been trying different things. It's really sad that the church is still teaching the Mittleider method. Stop that. Let's teach nature. You know what I call it? God's divine design.
Yeah.
Could we teach God's divine design of creation? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. See, I love that Amber just smiles at everything that I say. She laughs with me. She's a kid at heart, you see?
This
and that's
is true.
what we need to be. We need to be like Josh. We need to be kids at heart and love everything that's beautiful that God created. Because that's what he wants us. He wants us to smile and be happy. Yeah. All of us. And he wants us all to love each other and do this together. Have fun.
Yeah.
Taking care of each other, taking care of this beautiful planet, right?
Yeah.
And so that's my attitude, if you can't tell. I'm like a little kid in here. I don't know if you ever followed John Kohler, Growing Your Greens.
Yeah.
Okay,
I watched. That's how I learned about you. As I saw his video. I was just looking up Utah food forest and saw his.
Funny? I don't even know who the guy was. I don't follow organic people. I don't have time to follow everybody, okay? It was so funny. This guy calls me up and I'm getting ready for church and I'm about 15 minutes away from leaving, and this guy calls me and says, "Hi, my name's John Kohler." Didn't mean a thing to me. I was up in Salt Lake at the Bee Festival and I was supposed to film a couple of permaculture food forests, but it was disappointing. And somebody told me I should go visit yours. Can I come visit your food forest? And he wanted to film it. And I was like, I guess so, but I'm late. Normally, I don't let people come in here.
Yeah.
Without me.
Yeah, you were gone when he did it.
At church. So I basically gave him this quick tour through here in 15 minutes, and I went off to church.
He was crying during that video.
Oh my gosh.
He was so impressed by the thing.
Not only was he crying, and then he said, like, how did he figure that out? Like, for an elder lady, she sure is childlike.
Yeah.
You got that in 15 minutes? I was like, this guy's special.
Yeah.
He's got something special going on. He is. He's special.
He's a fun
he's
YouTuber.
Down his journey of his health issues that brought him down to this, where now he loves eating healthy and everything.
I see. I found him when we were doing juicing, like
is the best.
decades ago.
It's so good for you. It's so good. Now you still got it because you got to feed those good guys in here the fiber. You still got to eat your fiber like crazy and try to 80% of your diet should be all the good fiber and all the great vegetables. And then in the 20% we have the fruit because it's more sugar. And we have the nuts, the good nuts, almonds and walnuts. Those are the good guys. And then you have the good fats. You got to have avocado and good oils. Then you got to have a little bit in the 20%. You want to get good protein, okay? Because we all need really good protein. And then make sure it's raised well, and unless you do all vegan, and then they've got to really bulk up on their protein because they're doing only legumes. So they really need to eat a lot of protein, otherwise they get deficient as well. And so that's how I try to eat. But John Kohler's brilliant. Now the only thing I don't know how to put it to him because it's on everything he posts is he'll make a whole week's worth of juice and jar it and then put it in the fridge, but it decomposes. And you
It starts to break down. You don't get all the stuff.
You gotta drink it right there fresh. You gotta make it every day, John. I'm
But
sorry.
I just want the ability to go outside and pick and eat while I enjoy nature. That's what I really enjoy.
And then dig your sunchokes out of the ground in the winter, okay? And there might be a couple greens that are living through the straw in the winter, okay? There's all sorts of things we can still eat under snow even, okay? But our winters are so warm, so we can eat a lot of stuff now.
Yeah.
You know? It's amazing how quickly. And the deer come in and they graze my cover crops just right and leave this much. then they move on.
And that, I mean, that helps.
That helps it grow.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to watch. Yeah. They don't, because they're not fenced in like cattle and stuff are, and they eat everything to the ground. No, all these grazers, which cow isn't even a grazer, it's a forager. It should be eating the bushes and the trees. It likes ash and willow and alder and all these kinds of bushes. That's what it likes, all those trees. But they force them to just eat what was there in this bare field, and then they eat it to the ground. And then they have to bring in all this chemically treated hay to them, and it's like, oh, guys, you realize this isn't very good. You're making a mistake here. Can we teach you how animals really live in the wild? Okay, if they could learn that, it'd be beautiful. Really. But a lot of farmers are learning regenerative agriculture and what they call managed grazing. So they bring the cattle, they only eat so much, then they move them on to the next patch, and they keep rotating them.
What's his
name?
name?
Crops grow more.
Joe Salatin?
Joel Salatin.
Joel Salatin does
it. I love his stuff.
The Savory Institute. I'm trying to think of the other one. Gabe Brown is one of the best commercial farmers that does it. He's not permaculture. He's a commercial 5,000 acre farmer, but he learned about nature, working with it, and he's teaching everybody.
That's cool.
It's so successful.
I wish we would switch to regenerative everything.
Everything. Yeah. Because he makes more money selling his cover crop seeds as well as his crops and his cattle and everything else. He makes more money. He's not in debt. Well, all the other farmers are in debt while they're destroying their land.
Yourselves more and more in debt.
And so it makes total sense. I was showing these farmers, this family that has all this farmland up in Heber. I was showing them a little bit of Gabe Brown's presentation, and it made sense to them. They understood what he was doing.
We need to be able to mark the video. Remember to go back and look up Gabe Brown.
Look at Gabe Brown, Gabebrowm. He's up in North Dakota, Bismarck, North Dakota. And that man is the real deal. No farmer can say he doesn't know what he's doing. 5,000 commercial acres. I think he knows what he's doing.
That's
25
crazy.
plus years. Okay, he's got the stats and everything to show you. The yields. He knows everything that's going on in his field. He really does. It's the coolest thing to learn from Gabe Brown. I wrote him because my farmer, he's been doing multi-cover crops on his huge acreage. So he's letting the microbes grow and everything else as much as he can. But he's like, how does he separate the seed when you're planting 21 kinds of crops? How do you separate all the seeds? And I said, I do not know. I haven't learned that part yet about the big farms. So I asked Gabe Brown. I haven't heard back yet, but he usually replies after a while. So he'll tell us this is how he separates the seeds.
Then
they sell us, because there's a farmer here with 500 acres that was selling us his seed that does Gabe Brown stuff. Yep. His method, and so they sell us 50 pounds of each kind: daikon radish, winter rye, hairy vetch, all the good stuff. They turn around and sell us their seeds, and they're great. They're non-treated. They're wonderful seeds, you guys. So that's what we're learning, and that's what I'm incorporating to teach all these families. If they have big land, or they just have a yard like mine. Mine is only 1/8 of an acre.
I know, that's what I was
Is that funny?
Crazy.
I know. I only use 1/8 of an acre out here. And I am growing more in the back too now.
We're going to use about 1/3 of an acre.
1/3 of an acre.
For I only get half. So we have half an acre. I get about half of that.
He keeps saying that like somebody's running his life or something. I only get half. That's what Karen said, because her husband said, honey, you can practice your little food forest in this section, but then we're going to have a traditional garden over here.
No, she doesn't want a traditional garden.
I don't want a traditional garden. You don't even want a traditional garden.
She wants a pool and a trampoline and a...
We've got 5 kids. I want a place for the kids to be able to run and play.
You gotta have that. I mean, they don't mind playing on wood chips. Right. They don't mind. Trust me. Little kids. I mean, look, it's proof. And they don't mind playing in the dirt and finding little worms and all this fun stuff. And it's really
his favorite.
Fun. You know that? Look at him smile. You're so cute, Josh. You're so cute.
He's a fun little kid.
Are you having fun with the tractors, huh, buddy? Do you see that little tiny pear over there? Right here on the that little baby pear that fell out of the tree, Josh.
Josh, look at this pear.
Isn't that cute? You can put it in your dump truck.
I think.
Did he put these in here? Like
almost for sure.
No, I did. Oh. I was like, did he do that already? Wow, he's smart.
Almost for sure these are the same ones.
Carry the pear in the dump truck and the farm. I gotta get farm animals for them. I keep looking for a good deal or a garage sale. Farm animals. All right. Are we ready to go take a walk? Have we got all the playing out of us?
Let's go look.
Should we go take a walk, Josh? let's go take a walk and see how I had some places where I didn't want the thorny blackberry. So I just dig them up, put them in a pot until I'm ready to plant them somewhere else. Okay. And they are hardy. Those are easy
Let's
to
clean
grow.
up some of
The
the
blackberries,
It's
huh?
almost impossible to kill a wild blackberry, you guys.
We're gonna go
Well, we used to live in Virginia,
Let's
and
go walk. You can
my
carry
grandma
one of
had
the
300
toys.
acres, and she had blackberries everywhere.
Really?
We used to forage them all.
Oh, they're the best. I bet Paul Gotchi has a ton on his property.
he
He must have a ton of wild berries.
had a bunch of raspberries.
But he didn't have wild blackberries? That's what they're famous for, they tell me.
I
In
don't,
Washington
I don't
State,
remember
Oregon.
any.
Don't
I mean,
you?
yeah.
They're everywhere.
I lived in Washington
They're
for a bit, and they're
beautiful.
all over.
Oh, I
Josh,
wish I
wait.
could live up there. I
Josh.
love it up there. Come on, Josh.
So,
this way.
We're going to have to stay with Mom and Dad. We're going to come this way.
Joshy,
I'm going to try to save my little flower
Yeah,
here.
I was trying to move it out of the way.
Put
I'm
it back
sorry.
because it got a little bent. We'll put it back, you guys.
okay, so this is the goji berry,
That's a goji. Okay.
and they're not nitrogen fixers, right?
Not that
They're
I
just
know of.
fruiting.
The
Yeah,
buckthorn berry is, and
That's
the
the
buffalo
one,
berry
right.
is, and they look very similar.
yeah.
the
That's
autumn
what
olive.
got me, is that
Yeah,
reminded me
they
of
look
sea buckthorn.
very familiar. You see right there? That's a buffalo berry. And if we walk
Which
around,
one? Yeah, well,
that one that's taller there, that looks like this leaf. They're very similar. They're the same color, okay? They've got that
Yeah.
kind of grayish color, not green.
and
yeah.
they are nitrogen fixers.
And those are nitrogen fixers, the
Yeah.
buffalo berry. Yes.
We have some
Just
of
like
those seeds
the
ordered.
Russian olive, the autumn olive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, even though you don't want a kitchen vegetable garden, but you will want a little, like what I call zone 1, where I can go pick my herbs, and then a section that's in the sun, where I did grow a beautiful Florentine tomato.
Oh, you got
Oh.
strawberries there.
And I got my strawberries, and they love it in the sun, right? Look, they have to have sunshine. So not everything wants to be in the food forest, and so you'll have a section to grow fun stuff like that.
Right.
And the kids, we got to get the kids. They're all going to get one section. They're going to be involved in learning. They're going to be involved in designing, and they're going to be involved in growing their own garden. Okay? Each child should have that opportunity when they're little.
Cool, yeah.
What do you think, Josh?
That's
You want
pretty
your own
cool.
garden?
So that right there is the buffalo berry, you
That's the
said.
buffalo berry, but if you come over
But
here,
it looks nearly identical, yeah.
tiny little red berries I
berries
left
are,
on there
Joe.
for you to look at. Those are little buffalo berries, and they are very delicious.
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys. They really are. I love them, and it's a very drought-resistant plant, and it loves full sun.
Because that was
we
what I was
tried
planning
it.
for my nitrogen bush.
Fixing. You want
The
to do
nitrogen
buffalo
bush
berries.
level is buffalo berry.
So we
And
need to find somebody
and see
besides me who
nothing.
has them. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
exactly.
Nobody's selling them since the Reclamation Nursery stopped selling them. It's kind of sad, you guys.
Do you see how big those pears are, Joe?
I know. That's my
Which
rescue
one?
tree, you guys. Are they amazing?
Yeah, see, those are much
Aren't
bigger
they
than ours.
Beautiful.
They are.
Oh, you guys. That guy, not only is he a survivor, but he's like one of the most precious trees that's thriving in here, right? It's amazing. And then we have a little, what they call the wild Russian dwarf almond. It has little fuzzy almonds on it.
And that's the
But
reddish
they're
leaves.
hard to crack. Yes.
Okay.
So that's the Russian almond. That's not a nitrogen fixer. The
Are they
buffalo berry
edible?
is. Well, we're gonna figure that out. They're
Okay.
very hard to crack, but they're
Like-
gonna be the survivor.
Like the black
If the
walnuts.
all-in-one almond and the Hall's Hardy almond don't make it in the drought, then that will be our
That's you.
Isn't that funny? And see, this is one of Grant, my farmer Grant. We wanted to save, and that's my neighbor's cottonwood branch fell over in the wind.
Oh,
His
that
trees
little branch
just
hanging.
fall all over my garden all the time.
So
yeah.
what's the tree that he's hanging
So
on?
this is a little
With the
pear
leaves?
or peach
Okay.
tree that we
Okay.
rescued from Grant's. Grant had the most beautiful, and they were going to bulldoze the property, so we went and rescued 17 trees with all my students.
A peach
They all
tree
got
died.
some of the trees. So this guy's doing really well, though, considering how big he was to transplant. That's his second
and
year, and he has
He was
leaves.
just okay. He was just transplanted
He
in
was
last.
just
year.
transplanted. We just rescued them last year. Okay.
Cool.
You'll see his apricot tree over here is doing really well. And as you saw, the amazing goji berries. Now,
Yeah, he got goji berries everywhere.
most people and the little kids, they love it when I get them to eat the dried ones because then they taste good. But come over here, you guys, and what you want to do is you want to pick the ones that are dried,
Oh, okay.
not the plump, shiny ones, because those are not
So
tasty.
you're saying
Pick the little.
This guy.
See those guys? Those are the good ones. Josh.
That right there.
It's yummy. Watch, Josh.
So it's basically like a raisin.
Most babies love this. Most babies love to eat that.
Ooh, yummy.
Josh. It's so good, Josh.
Yeah, it's like a raisin.
I know. It's delicious, right? You can eat that. But different than a raisin that may be high in vitamin C and everything else. This one has protein. This one has lycopene and a whole bunch of other vitamins and minerals. And so this is a valuable
more
berry.
than that though?
It's
Or is
gotta
that
be
a good stage
shrivelly.
too?
That's perfect. That shrivelly one, not the plump one.
Because it's a little juicier.
Well, it's just sweeter. When it dries, the sweetness is there. But if try one that's not,
It's almost a little spicy.
and you'll see the one that's not, that's big and plump like
Find
this,
what I would think is the best.
and you'll be like, oh no, that's not good. Do you want to try one of those? No. Try one of those, and you'll see the difference. That's why I eat them when they're dry. Oh, gosh, they're yummy.
Yeah.
See the difference?
Yeah.
So most people are like, I
Yeah, it's
hate
almost bitter.
berries. They're gross.
They're kind of
Well,
bitter
then you
and
eat at the wrong time.
wow.
Pick a dry one.
Yeah, I just did. It's kind of bitter and
better.
it's a lot juicier.
It is. It's
But
so
it's
much better. And if we
better.
weren't getting the hard freeze, I let them just dry on here. But instead, I'm going to dry them on trays in the sun right here until
And that works just fine.
it works perfect.
And that
Come
gets
look
some,
over
that
here.
gets them sweet and everything.
It gets them
the same way.
sweet enough.
Wow.
Look over here. You want to try?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You see how perfectly they dry? I don't even use a dehydrator. I just let them dry in the sunshine. And they're
Okay.
as tasty as what you just ate on the vine. Because they got the sugar in them.
Stay back.
Some of them aren't dry enough yet, but they will get there. I know.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? So we can do these things. And you know, I'm drying and saving, so I'm going to be doing that this week. All these beautiful grape leaves, because I've already just made Niagara white juice right there of the grapes. These are really good for the winter to make a tea. They're grape leaves. Because
Okay.
if there's any bugs or anything, viruses flying around, I don't care what you want to call them, this tea will stop them from sticking to your lining. Isn't that amazing?
Well, we have a million
I
grapes.
learned that from the homegrown herbalist.
Between our neighbor and us, it's just a grapevine
Nice.
fence.
Isn't it wonderful?
It's really cool.
Wait till you have like 10 varieties of grapes.
Yeah.
And then you have to make different juices at different times. So that's what we just picked in here. You guys can follow me. Come on, Josh. Josh, you want to see the little goblins? These come from Grant's Pumpkin Land at Vineyard Nursery. Aren't they cute? They were going to throw them away, and I said, no, they're perfect for Halloween. In fact, you guys are invited if you want to come. I've invited my families a week from this Saturday. Hopefully it'll still be nice to be in the food forest. It's all decorated. And the kids are go around. In Easter, we learn all the berries. And the kids go around, and there's an Easter egg with prizes at every berry bush. And after I teach them, come here, Josh. Come on, Josh. After I teach them what berries are what, about 5 of them, and I tell them something special about that berry bush, because there's 37 kinds in here, the kids get to raise their hand and tell me about what berries do you remember. And they'll tell you, what about that berry they remember, and then they get to pick the Easter egg. Well, I'm going to make something new tradition for Halloween. They're going to go through with me, but they're going to learn about different kinds of plants. And they're going to remember and learn the plants. And then they get a prize for Halloween. Instead of boring trick-or-treating for candy.
Right.
At least teach them something good, right?
Yes.
So that's what we're going to do a week from this Saturday in the afternoon. Then we're going to have a potluck. Everybody harvested stuff and made something with it. Let's share with each other their harvest, right? What fun things we make with them and stuff. So we're going to do that with our students, and hopefully the weather will cooperate and stuff. But see how even the trumpet flowers growing through the pear tree right there with those huge pears? Isn't that amazing? It's so beautiful. And I do not pick off the trees and the bushes, except right now I'm having to save them. But I like to have them drop, and that day I'm out there a couple of times with my basket, my apricots, my peaches.
Everything that has fallen
really
down.
fast before the bugs get them, because then I know it's ripe.
Right.
And that's why they're juicy and sweet and wonderful. Well, even if I go to the farmer's market, they're hard.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, that's not fun.
Yeah.
That's not very tasty.
So what
And I
is this
taste
little
So this is an interesting, unfortunately, you never want to have around children, so don't grow this one around the kids till they get old enough to know that they can't eat this, and that one gets broken all the time. It's called a Sacred Datura. It's in the nightshade family, so they only bloom at night, but they have the most sensual smell, gorgeous white bell flowers. Even the bees will come at night to get the pollen out of there, which surprises me because it's poisonous.
Yeah, and they got these
So you wouldn't
giant,
think the bees.
these big
And then
old
this
spiky.
is the seed pod.
Yeah.
Those are the seed pods. My students have been taking some, but I'm like, not around little children.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, we're gonna
And then I
follow
got to take
Denise.
this little bergamot here that I took out of the garden. I want to put one in the greenhouse just in case the other one doesn't survive outside.
That's why we want. That's why I want a greenhouse.
Most mints, okay, like this will come back no problem.
Right.
I don't know about the bergamot, so we'll have to find out.
Is that what these are? Is that a mint?
Yeah.
So these are all mints. They all,
Oh yeah.
ask my horticulturist, they'll tell you they
It's a little
don't
different.
hybridize. And I'm like, then how do you explain that a mint that looks like a peppermint or a spearmint, which has a pointy leaf, all of a sudden mixed with a
Yeah.
lemon balm, which is soft and
That's
round,
That's
and
what I
smells
thought
like
they were
spearmint.
lemon balm, but is that type
it's
of mint?
spearmint.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it smells like mint.
It feels like a lemon balm. It looks like a lemon balm, but it smells like a
mint.
spearmint. And so I told my horticulturist, Buna, she came here and she says, sorry, they don't hybridize. I'm like, then explain what happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Because obviously it hybridizes.
Like when you say don't.
They don't. But you know
Except
what
for they
everybody
did.
says? It's impossible to do this. It's impossible to do that. I'm like, stop saying that. You're looking at
Right.
it yourself. Obviously it's possible, right? Even last week, a 16-year retired now soil physicist for Brigham Young University, used to run the Brigham Young farm and everything, came here and said, wow, I've never seen one that big. Wow, I can't believe you put so much on such a little space. He just kept saying it over and over again. And the herbalist, I can't believe how big your comfrey leaves are. I can't believe how big this is, you know. Everybody says the same thing when they come here. And I'm like, well, maybe you were taught wrong. I don't know.
Well, Paul Gauchi
I
said
just
a lot
wasn't
of the same things. They all
lot of
said
the
this is
same things.
impossible,
This
and
is
it's working.
impossible, and it works perfect, doesn't it? Isn't
We
that
have different
hilarious?
definitions of impossible.
Exactly, everybody does. So we'll be really careful. I'm actually going to move this guy. So,
Let's see what. Oh, look, you got some thyme here hanging out in the little display.
come on in, you guys. So we just try to stay on the pathway, but even in
Oh,
the
little
pathway,
fig.
there's plants. So you try to
Please
just
come on.
don't walk where there's straw. Don't walk where there's plants. We try to stay on the wood chips, okay?
You got a little fig tree
Because
here.
since we're growing life
Stay here.
in our soil, we don't want to crush it.
Right.
It's like you're stepping on a city. Don't crush them. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, wow, those are-
To see these amazing figs. Isn't it
That one's
beautiful?
ready.
We
Me
harvested
so excited
so many.
already.
I just got a
know.
bunch of cuttings that I'm growing downstairs of
Yay. Are they the
Chicago
the
Hardy.
Okay.
Yeah, the
good.
Chicago Hardies.
Yeah.
Stay with
They've
us.
got to be hardy to keep coming back, Some other guy was asking me, I don't know why, do you have to cut it back and bury it? And I'm like, I've never done that, and it comes back just fine. Where did you hear you had to do that? It's the weirdest things, the stuff people tell you out there, you know? But we just barely added a little of our
That's
compost,
the walking.
and we barely added a lot of deep mulch. I want to
wow,
make
yeah.
it as deep as possible.
Okay, yeah. How much straw do you have on there?
You're like, holy cow.
Yeah, that's
Where's
like
the soil?
you're already like that foot down.
I know. See, look at that. I want that much. So next spring, I don't have to water till maybe end of June.
So
When you
is
dig
this to
down,
protect or this is to keep the water or just
insulate and stop evaporation, both.
both? So what are these that you're insulate? Like what's that one?
So this is a beautiful little nanking I wanted to add.
Oh, okay.
Okay, along
'Cause
with
these look like Jerusalem artichokes.
these
or
are definitely sunchokes.
yeah.
There's my bergamot. There's nettles. There's tarragon right behind you, and there will be other crops that will come back. But this used to be pure sand, you guys. A dead lawn and pure sand. Look at what I have now. I have little worms. I have just gorgeous, gorgeous living soil now. You see? When I had dead sand before. Just horrible sand. It was awful, you guys. But I want to keep the moisture. I never want to water again until next year.
You just
As far into June as I can make it go. Because that's insulating.
and so
okay?
you've just totally buried.
I did. I want
That's
to protect
cool.
my soil. I've learned.
Well, and
you
it
can't
adds
have
to
enough.
it. Like it.
Of course, they'll decompose. In fact, what's crazy
it protects and adds and
how much
everything.
straw I have right now. But if you would have seen it before I put the straw down, I barely had this much left.
Yeah.
And I wish I'd had more all summer because it dries out otherwise. But luckily, under the shade, filtered light effect I have in here, everything thrives.
That's so much
Look
cooler
at that
in
ginger
here.
right there, how happy it is.
Is that what that is?
Those
little
are
guy?
gingers. Yep, there's little ginger roots under there. This guy, that's a root crop as well. They do very well, root crops. Is a 8-year-old horseradish that keeps coming back every year.
We
and believe it or not, even though it got buried, there's also in here a dandelion that comes back every year. The last 8 years. He keeps coming back.
You're one left.
Dude,
dandelion.
you're so cool. And then here's one of the
So these leaves, these aren't comfrey. These are horseradish.
This is horseradish. Cool. Exactly. Isn't that beautiful? And I don't want to dig out his roots because it's like, no, you're too beautiful. A specimen, keep coming back. Here's the other bergamot that I really insulated really well, and we're going to see, can he come back?
So what is bergamot?
It's supposed to be in the mint family.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know if he's hardy enough. He looks too weak to me.
Well, yeah, he looks already sad.
He looks like he's never done. Here's another one that I really want to protect. There's 2 of them. Curry. This is
Those
a beautiful
curry?
curry plant. Yeah. But
like curry leaves,
like curry spice.
Wow.
It smells just like the spice.
I didn't realize that grew here at all.
Well, we'll find out.
No.
I've tried it, and it came back one year, and then I struggled the next. But what you're seeing right here, where I have this little cone, is a pipe. Because that is a simple water system without the elaborate one that I'll show you. Or you could just take a downspout into a sealed 3-inch pipe and then bring it out on contour so water would flow level. So you're taking that water that normally my dad in the past, all these years, used to let it just run down the driveway so it could evaporate and disappear. What a waste, right? Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, It's coming from another pipe that comes from the roof that used to go down the driveway, coming together with off the roof through that downspout, and right there. And all these.
Where is the pipe?
The pipe is right here where you see this little guy. See right here?
Oh, you
see right here? Right there. There's
it just
pipe.
ends right?
Just right there. And I put the rocks because we push the wood chips in.
Degrade it. Yeah.
Then it becomes soil and fills up the trench and the pipe. So we put rocks there to stop that.
Take the pipes, put rocks
And
around
this is one of our heirloom, most special fruit called a Potawatomi plum that I absolutely adore. It tastes so delicious. And he obviously is very hardy. He was
so it's not on a rootstock.
A native. No.
It's an heirloom.
This was a native heirloom. Oh. This is not a nursery tree. This is a native. This is a beauty that has the most delicious fruit on the planet. I think. I really do. It's amazing.
Cool.
And not only ginger did I grow, but I grew taro. Here's a little leaf that's still alive, left over. That's a taro. So I've had taro leaves up to this big in here. I have every year come back valerian right here. These are all valerian. Okay. But I've buried it now. It'll come back. Okay. Because it reseeds itself. We have some oreganos as well. They come back. Like
is this
the
a squash?
And that is a rhubarb that keeps coming back.
Okay.
Yeah, isn't that fun? All these different plants are so happy in here.
And a little tomato.
And instead of, and your onions and your chives and everything else, they do very well. But instead of growing spinach, arugula, and all those greens and stuff. Oh, and somebody knocked over maybe a bird. I left a whole bunch of our grapes for the birds up here. See how they can just come and eat them and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You guys are welcome to taste. Those are Niagara White.
Joshua, do you want a grape? Do you want a grape?
Yum, yum, Josh.
I'm not gonna seed in them.
Josh, do you want a grape?
And then just spit the seeds out. Back in the garden. That's what I do all the time. Isn't that fun? Yeah. Is that a good grape, sweetie? You want another one? No. No?
Nope.
No? Oh, they're so yummy. Oh, those are really good. Aren't they yummy? And they make the greatest, sweetest pink grape juice. I'll show you inside.
Ooh.
Yeah, they make a great grape juice. And then you've got potatoes, because you've got all these root crops. You've got Jerusalem artichokes, you've got potatoes, you've got beets, all the root crops, carrots, everything. They thrive and they keep reseeding. And so you can grow lots more of those.
Yeah, our carrots did better than I've ever had here.
Wonderful.
In Missouri, they did not do well.
But this is my choice of greens because it is the only perennial I found so far. It's called a sorrel. It's a longleaf sorrel. And this guy's been coming back for about 3 years. Right here. And so the sorrel is my choice of greens that I really love. I love the lemony flavor. Yeah. I'm probably going to dig up because it'll freeze. This is one of those basils that are only annual. But if I dig it up, put it in the greenhouse, it'll survive and I could replant it next year.
Well, it looks like, is that basil seed?
These are the little seeds of the Thai basil.
I was going to say, it looks like seed pods.
I know. Isn't
We
that great?
definitely have done.
And then see the sweet potato that's still alive, but it'll freeze. And then there's a little still leftover broccoli right there. It's a baby broccoli.
I don't imagine you can hurt a dead plant.
You can't hurt these dead sunflowers. No, they're not needed anymore. They're needed on this side to shade the west sun, but they're not needed here anymore. And what I've noticed, it's almost like they know that I don't need them, because this used to be a wall of sunchokes.
Well, that's, in John Kohler's video, you had sunchokes everywhere.
Everywhere.
And then I was watching
they're
your
starting
from
to
August.
disappear.
And they're not, because that was my concern. We grew sunchokes in a barrel in Missouri, and I took them out and I cleaned out every single root and I put it back and more sunchokes grew. I was like,
they
oh
keep
no.
coming back if you want them. And see these beautiful gingers? They love to grow in
So
here.
is this like normal ginger, or is it?
It is normal
Are
ginger.
they
It's
grow
the same
in?
stuff that you get at the store.
Really?
The ginger root. I get it at Good Earth and I stick it in the ground.
Really?
It's about 61 degrees maybe in here right now. It's absolutely perfect. So wonderful. But this insulation will keep these guys from freezing this weekend when it's going to freeze.
Yeah.
Really wonderful. And I put berries in here. I've got blackberries here. I've got blackberries under there with the grape. The grape went crazy over the crabapple here.
What are those little, they look dried out berries?
They were grapes.
Those are grapes? Okay.
I left them for the bugs. They were great. They suck all the juice out of them. It's really funny. And here's my 2 papas.
Oh, okay.
One, and the other baby one is right there. This is the baby one right there.
Have you gotten any papas from them yet?
They're just barely planted.
Yeah, that's
these
just
are
the one brand. Okay.
Brand new starts. Yeah, this
That's one of the
guy,
things I hope to
tons
grow.
of Nanking cherries. He's 8
That's
years
what this
old.
is?
That's my favorite cherry is the Nanking. I love the Nanking.
Are they not sour?
No, they
I'm
are
thinking of
so
something else.
delicious.
Really?
I love it. They are so delicious.
Because our cherry has just got a million cherry flies
Where's that?
that have, they just eat, there's a little larva in every single one.
There's an imbalance in
There's
your
something
garden.
wrong with,
You have to build the whole thing. Don't just
That's,
plant
well,
plants.
when we bought the house, it had 11 fruit trees on it, but they're just lawn and fruit trees. And so,
it's not healthy.
and we lost our peach, and our nectarine has something, and that's where I'm like, we want something that fixes this.
Because if you don't have everybody there with their relationships taking care of each other, the plants aren't strong. And that's why
Yes, they are.
the bugs and the disease.
These are all of her special plants.
That's the problem. If you don't have all the plants, is what I call them, you know? You got everybody in here, you're going to have healthy plants.
So are these cuttings that you're rooting?
So that will be our workshop next year. Those are the ones that didn't work,
Oh, okay.
that are left over, and I just leave them here ready for cuttings next March. So we're going to do a cuttings workshop. Every March we do that.
Oh, okay.
Pruning and cuttings workshop, and we plant the cuttings into the sand.
Gotcha.
Yes. So we'll do that. So this is our zone 1. This is my kind of kitchen garden. I don't like vegetables. I have a few over there, but this is my kind of kitchen garden
Yeah.
that I love.
Okay, so that's,
Fruit,
so you put more work into these,
a black
into this
mulberry.
area, because this is your zone 1, this is your,
I don't really put any work into it unless I plant.
well, I mean, all of the, putting all the straw down and
That's all.
stuff.
Just once a year, put straw down. That's
Yeah.
it. Just
And
go
you have a
and I
willow.
only do that until the trees get big enough that they drop all their leaves,
So-
and I'll never have to do that.
Oh, okay, you do, oh, God, yeah,
You'll
okay,
never
that
have
makes
to
sense.
do that again.
So,
Only in the first years will you do that. But eventually you won't have to do that anymore. Eventually, you don't do anything. You just sit back and relax and forage.
Just watch it.
Just, yeah, come on out. I'm going to put my little
Oh, gotcha.
things here. There we go. And this is edible weeping crabapple. So believe it or not, these are delicious.
Really?
Little apples. You guys can taste one. Take bites out of that. See how delicious that little crabapple is. Those crabapples are not that good. Yeah.
Well.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah, it's not sour like they normally
See when you walked in here? A few weeks ago, it smelled like a winery under here. And we've already harvested some of the grapes except for the white.
So this is at this height because this is your height.
No. No. It's just because the grapes went crazy this year. Try these.
So these are...
This is the white himrod. We gotta harvest those right now and make juice. It's different than the other Niagara. I had a white table grape that you can see drape itself over the crabapple.
Oh yeah.
That's a great edible seedless grape.
I just eat this.
But then we have the Concord, and I left this much for the birds and the insects. But they're really delicious as well. But I don't think they're as good as one that I love called a red catawba. That's my favorite purple grape. But this is the Concord that everybody has. I think it's boring.
That's
I like my red catawba better. You know? This is the kind you get at the store.
I'll go bucket.
Is it broken?
What? Look. You know, I love ponds. If I had more space, I'd have a really huge pond. And I'd love to put trout in it. Because we're not allowed to put tilapia like Jeff Lawton has.
yeah.
But all these little plants that are in there are edible.
Really?
You've got watercress, you've got creeping jenny, you've got water iris, water lilies, water hyacinth, and I forget what the other flower is that's really beautiful right there. But those are also edible. Live in the water. It's really nice. And I let all the plants cover every inch everywhere.
So what are these?
Everything green. Those are my lilies.
Okay.
Which are also edible and nutritious. John Kohler fell in love with my lilies. He's like, I'm so
That's right.
jealous. She has so many lilies. I was laughing so hard when I finally saw the video. I had no idea what this guy's going to produce, right?
And he's very animated.
He is. And it was so fun to watch him all alone in the food forest. I was amazed how much he remembered.
Yeah.
In here, you know? He obviously does know a lot of stuff.
Yeah, oh
I
yeah.
love these. If you want to pick the dark little red berry on it and suck on it. This is your low sumac. We have a tall staghorn sumac too. To me, you could suck on it and it tastes like lemonade. It's got this lemony tart flavor. But the Native Americans used to make a flour and they ate this berry out of that. But I love, you just
Yeah, it's
missed
got a little bit
it.
of sourness.
But you see how gorgeous? It was all red leaves everywhere. But the wind came through. It's like, thanks a lot. Enjoy this because next week they'll all be frozen. These beautiful petunias are all going to be frozen. But I'm going to harvest all my gojis, my pears, my mints. This is kind of a lemon balm. It's not as pure as my one in the back, but you can smell this one. It's a little lemon balm.
Oh,
it smells really
That's
amazing.
definitely lemon.
Always rub them. Right. Then you really smell it strong, huh? But see how I like to just drape everything with the grapes everywhere and create this beautiful little shade area.
Do I smell it?
Smell it.
Do I
You
smell
see,
like a flower?
these aren't as big as they were one year. One year we had them, they were like 3 feet by 2 feet wide leaves of comfrey. Nobody had
Okay.
ever seen comfrey so big. But that's how they
one of
are
the
right
things
now.
I'm trying to
And we're
get.
going to hope, I'm going to add more mulch of straw literally up this high to try to get these new rosemary plants to come back. You've got to get them to survive a few years and then they're fine. Then
Okay.
they grow into huge bushes, you know?
That's
They'll grow into huge, huge bushes.
that was when I was planning on growing in the greenhouse.
So see all my green that I let ripen here? But if they get too ripe, then we just give them back to nature. Little apple got too ripe, back to nature. There you go.
Okay,
This is
you
one
just
of that tree that you love over there.
Right.
This is his. This is the Ayers pear that hangs over the sidewalk. But one of my neighbors was picking up a big, beautiful pear like this, taking a bite and throwing it on the ground, then grabbing another one, taking a bite and throwing it on the ground. I'm
like,
like,
no, dude.
who does that? Don't waste fruit. So I picked him all so he doesn't pick him on that side, and I put him here. And I'm really bummed because my dog, it was bigger than this one. I had a golden delicious that I was just saving. It was still green. It was this big. And I brought it in yesterday because it had been knocked on the ground by a bird. And I brought it in. It was perfect. No bugs, no bites of birds or anything. And my dog this morning decided to escape where she is and ate it.
Our dog,
I was so mad. I was like,
our
"That
dog
was
loves
a
apples.
Special apple, golden delicious." I was so sad, you guys. And see this carpet of spearmint under here?
That's
Isn't it
rosemary
beautiful?
for sure.
It's just so happy. And then that's a berry that they call the famine food, called the snowberry. But some people think that it causes a stomach ache.
Those clear,
Those white,
like really
beautiful little
pale.
berries.
Wow.
Aren't they gorgeous? They grow up the canyon. And this horehound plant right here that keeps coming back, I'm grateful,
This
is
thing?
not supposed to like shade. That one down there. It's not
Okay.
supposed to like shade. It's supposed to go out in the dry desert, no water or anything. So I never water it, but it must be getting some right there, right? And it keeps coming back, and I'm like, thank you. I'm so happy.
What is
These
this?
are my little white peaches. These are beautiful. A little bird got to that one. But these are my little white peaches, and if you peel them when they get about, that might be an okay one. Let's see. When they start to get soft, that's when they're good.
And you peel them?
I
or?
peel them. I like to peel to get the real flavor of the fruit because the fuzzy skin kind of takes away from that. And so I'll peel the skin and eat the flesh.
So I just eat the skin first?
You eat the skin first. But
Hold on,
taste
Josh.
that. Oh, you got to taste one, Josh.
Mm.
Mmm. And I make the best peach compote with this. I just made about, how many? At least 10 pints.
Wow. Joshy, do you want a bite?
Here.
Oh, he likes the
Hey,
witch.
right here.
He
bite.
likes the witch.
Bite.
No?
Kids like the decoration.
Go.
Some kids like the food. And they go crazy in here. And I just put the pits back in the ground. We'll get another little peach tree. I'm getting a whole nursery of baby white peach trees up under the tree itself. I throw the pits back
Because
in.
you put them right back in.
Yeah. And then they come back. This is the all-in-one sweet almond. And there's still one almond left up there that was opening that I left on there. And he's been beautiful.
All in one sweet.
It's a sweet almond. Yeah, it's a larger almond too. They get like this big. They're
Wow.
huge. Yeah, they're beautiful.
Cool.
He's been here for at least 7 years.
What's this guy?
So this is a gummy berry, another one of the unusual
Yeah.
berries.
That's what I can't
Yeah.
find it anywhere.
And jujube berry. I know. I was so blessed when I started doing this. It's like somebody upstairs really wanted me to do this because it was so obvious. Sent me to all the perfect places, 37 varieties of berries. Now, unless I do cuttings and give them to people, we can't find them anywhere. And if we try to bring them in from other places, they're not as hardy as they are
Right.
here. And so if you can get cuttings or a plant from
You gotta
someone,
do a cuttings exchange
Cuttings
where you're like,
exchange.
you're allowed to take cuttings from me as long as you give them
You
away
bring-
to free to somebody else.
or you
Or you
bring
bring some
something
back.
here. Like you might have, I just found out from a guy yesterday from Canada, there's a pin cherry that they use as pie cherry. But he said
Okay.
it's a really great cherry. You should add that here. And I said, great, then I'll have 12 varieties of cherries.
Wow.
We've got Bing, we've got Rainier, we've got Cornelian red and yellow, we've got bush cherry, we've got, we've got
Two-row ground
many I
cherries?
forgot. I
Not that
haven't yet.
those aren't cherries, but
I haven't grown those, no.
we're growing those
Um,
this year.
Are you? They cover the ground basically, right? It's a ground cover.
Yeah, I mean they're like little tomato plants
They're
basically.
like tomatoes. But they have the little, like the
husk around
the
it.
Mexican, what
Yeah,
are those called?
tomatillos.
They're like tomatillos
Yeah.
is
They're
what
like
they remind me
sweet,
of.
sweet tomatillo.
Sweet tomatillos, okay. And see that big bush, we're gonna go around the other side, is covered by the goji berries as well.
Yeah.
But it has the biggest, they're called gooseberries. Oh, and this everybody
Yeah,
has
you
to
do have
see
gooseberries.
this. You know the regular size of a black currant? They're not
That's what
very
I was
big.
wondering what those were.
Yeah, they're not very big, okay? But if you look at mine,
Some of those are
look
just
at the
giant.
size. Look at the size of some of these.
They're just all over it.
I know, they're everywhere. But you see the size of them? Look at that one.
Oh wow.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Nobody can understand why my black currants are so big. All I can say is it's the environment.
It's nature. It's doing its thing.
Nature does it all. And this professor came, he's like, you don't have any bugs in your pears. Well, if they fall on the ground, I do. They're up in my trees. No, they're healthy and beautiful, right? These are Danjou pears. That's those guys on that side. And let's see if there's one. So, if it has a few blemishes, I just eat around the blemish. But you guys are welcome to taste one of those. He looks like he's pretty right now.
Joe, I might have to go try to get this kid to sleep in the van. He's getting pretty tired.
Are you getting sleepy? How about we put you in the hammock? Do you think you would like the hammock?
Do you want to buy it?
Try that. What do you think? It's a Danjou pear. We have every kind. Bartlett, Danjou, Ayers pear, and then whatever that guy is, we still don't know.
Yeah.
Rescue
He's just
pear.
delicious.
Rescue pear.
All I know is he's delicious. He's beautiful. He's the biggest pear. He's delicious. Do you want a bite? Huh, Josh? Do you want a bite? You guys like that? Oh, it's so yummy.
You like apple?
You like apple?
This is very similar to apple.
And we'll have Asian pears too. We rescued some of those. Ooh. And really got it from Grant's place and stuff. But yeah, this is the gumi. Then we have a jujube over there, but it's young. But this one is getting berries every year now.
Wow.
Delicious little red berries. Yep.
Like I have gumi seeds, but those aren't supposed to work very well.
Really? You know what we need to do? They told me certain seeds have to be boiled. Certain have to be stratified in the fridge. Just do it outside in the ground all winter. And then they'll germinate in the spring. Every kind of pit and seed has to have something done to it. So we might have to research that, okay, with the gumi. Because I let the little gumi berries stay and go to the ground, hoping that they'll grow little baby gumi berry bushes so I can sell some to people because we can't find them anymore.
Right.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? With the sunchoke, when you really can create a wall of sunchokes and shade, look at this. Because this would be full sun over here.
Oh yeah.
Look at these walls. I have to tie them back because they get too tall.
Giant.
I know, they get giant. Isn't it fun? You want to try the hammock? Should we try and see if he likes it? See if he'll sleep in the hammock. And then we'll come back through here.
So does this come free then?
Where? No, that's the other version. So the comfrey likes a little more water and shade, but the curly dock that does the same thing and has tons of minerals in its roots, and so you can chop and drop these leaves just like comfrey, is the curly dock.
Curly dock.
You see this grow everywhere in empty fields. You used to have them.
That's what this is?
There. This is
This
curly
is curly
dock. That's the curly dock.
Oh.
You see them all over the place, right? That's the more drought-resistant mineral accumulator. Oh, we have another pair. Except the bugs got to it. So I'll just take a bite on the good side.
I just ignore the bugs and just eat where they
There's no bugs on the other side. But I'll eat the good part.
So where is this pear tree that I should throw this core?
Josh. Josh. That's the pear tree right there.
Just wanted to put this somewhat close to it.
Yeah, just throw it in there. I keep forgetting to bring my birds to food.
You gotta stay.
Come here, Josh.
Stay with Mom.
19 kinds of birds I've counted so far come here.
Okay.
And this is what they do with my mulch.
They
Try to find seeds.
play around.
I don't know if they're remembering this, but I used to plant tons of carpets of cover crop. Like this time last year in November, we were eating a carpet of microgreen peas. Covered with all them. And just munching, because it was too warm and they sprouted. They were supposed to stay dormant, the seeds, all winter and sprout in the spring. They all sprouted in November.
It's so
and I'm like,
hot.
that's not fair. So we had to eat. We were just eating peas all winter long.
And then did you just plant again?
And then I had to plant again. But my birds keep remembering she used to have seeds in here. And they keep digging through and finding nothing.
So what are these little guys?
So that is a Russian dwarf almond. I decided to add more of those that are very hardy.
To see how well we
Hey birds, you guys got to stop it. No more moving my mulch. I worked so hard. Come here, buddy. Look. This is my hammock. It's a bed. It's a nice cozy bed.
See, this is what I want in our garden.
When your tree forest is like this, and you just sit and watch. Watch it grow. Just relax.
Lay down in the hammock?
Do you want to lay down, sweetheart?
That way you don't keep messing with it.
How I do it, Josh? Watch. I just sit down Well, let's see if I sink all the way to the bottom.
Oh, it's so cozy. And I can just go to sleep. It's wonderful, and it rocks me. It's wonderful, Josh. And then I get to see all the little birdies come.
So what is this tree that you're hooked to?
Isn't it
The big one.
amazing? This is my only of its kind on earth.
Okay.
Planted from a pit 17 years ago. Apricot with the biggest, juiciest
Wow.
apricots. Gets thousands when it produces. Oh my gosh. But this is Grant's that I saved
That one is another
under
apricot?
him. Yes. Because I didn't want it to die. It was such a beautiful apricot tree. So I put it underneath Papa Tree over here. So this baby.
Yeah, that's a...
It's a baby tree, Josh. It's a baby apricot tree.
Except look how big this baby was. So it's a miracle. Look at all the happy leaves.
Yeah.
It's a miracle that it survived the transplant. 'Cause
Oh
it's
yeah,
old.
it's
This
got
is
all the little
oldest tree I've
sprouts
ever
right off of it.
transplanted. I know. I've never transplanted a tree this old before.
How do you transplant a tree that old, that big?
You take a backhoe,
Oh, okay.
wrap around the trunk of the tree to lift it up, and
And
then
then just
the machine just lifts it up.
rips it
We
right
get as
out.
much of the roots going out, but it lifts it all up. Then I bought burlap to wrap the root ball around
Okay.
and plant it that night.
Okay.
Make sure you get the tree back in the ground very quickly.
That. Yeah.
I've only lost one. And that's because my students had dug the hole too deep, and it was so deep that it rotted the trunk.
Oh, it went too deep.
That's the
Yeah.
only one we lost. All the others are really thriving, so it's not that hard.
Okay,
Is it your
so
turn, Josh?
that nitrogen fixer there.
Come here, Josh. It's for you. You want to lay down? Just for you. Mommy will put you in there. Yeah, come here. Yes, it's so cozy, Josh. You want to sit in the hammock? I used to have pillows out here. Sorry, it was raining, so I brought them inside. I used to have a nice little pillow in there. Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay, Josh. It's okay. Oh, it's cozy.
No?
It's okay. Cozy.
You might have to lie in it.
Cozy. It's a nice little bed. Maybe if he started falling asleep in your arms,
I know.
You just
see,
sit
you
there.
might be able to transfer him. Maybe he'll fall asleep.
So that behind you, your shoulder, is a nitrogen fixer. Which one is that? That's,
Same one that was over
Same
there.
one.
is it?
They're
Okay.
all through here.
I mean, they all look very similar.
Because
So
you're
it's like-
noticing the pattern of the leaf, right? So
Yeah.
you can identify the
See, that's
nitrogen
for
fixers.
sure what our big one is. So I was gonna buy one of those,
Yeah.
and ours is like 80 feet tall. Like,
If you want to come,
it's
My
the
one
biggest
mom-
one ever.
but it's going to be raining. It's supposed to rain Saturday all day. I don't know yet. But if you wanted to come back, we're going to be chopping and dropping the comfreys and curly docks and the nitrogen fixing leaves all to the fruit trees.
Yeah, I could help with that.
Okay, that way you can come and identify all of them. The more time you spend in the garden, the more you
Yeah.
learn what the plants are. You'll get to know them all very well. Because my plant database that I created with A to Z characteristics, okay, that I researched, are mostly what you see in here. They're all
Yeah.
here. Everything you should
Do you add the stuff that your students then do as well, or this is just what you grow?
This is what I grow.
That's
This is
cool.
what I researched I had to have. I wanted one of each of all the specimens that grow very well in Utah. I wanted
Gotcha.
all the native drought resistant ones. And then, of course, I added kiwi and I added other silly things because you
Do
gotta
you-
try.
You do have a hardy
I
kiwi?
do have a hardy kiwi female that grows up
Man,
on trellis over there.
I have killed so many hardy
Well,
kiwi.
The boy died.
Yeah.
Yeah, the puppy died, but Mama's still here. And she had produced one year a bunch of little tiny shiny kiwis. But I bought at Cook's Nursery, and I hope it comes back, a self-pollinating hardy kiwi.
That's what.
So
Yeah.
we'll see if it comes back. They're really tiny though.
Yeah.
I wanted to dig out big plants from people. That's why I dig out big trees from people.
Yeah.
Big herb plants.
Well, that's-
big everything.
I mean, I would love my vining layer to have a bunch of hardy kiwi as part of it.
Yeah.
Grapes and hardy kiwi and.
They're really good.
I don't
Behind
know.
it is my favorite of the two, is the red cornelian cherry. And they're big teardrop. When they go really dark red purple,
Okay.
they are so delicious.
So they're red cornelian.
Red cornelian cherry. The yellow one It hasn't gotten so sweet as the red one has, and it has smaller berries on it. But I love the red cornelian cherry. And so he's doing really well right there as well. And then because of the nitrogen fixers of the Siberian pea shrub, I did an experiment. There's one over there, you'll see he's only this tall, of the European chestnut.
Okay.
Because he doesn't have a Siberian pea shrub that he's growing right in the center of. This one grew to 12 feet tall. And they started at the same...
You're talking that little tree
No, the tall
behind it.
pole back there that grows right through the Siberian pea shrub. And
Oh,
goes
okay,
to
okay,
12 feet.
okay, yeah.
That is a European
So you just
chestnut.
planted right on it.
12 feet
Okay.
versus 3 feet.
Because it's got that friend that's helping it.
Yes, because of all that nitrogen they're exchanging.
Yeah.
They're so happy together and they just grow great together. So that was a really great experiment to show you the difference. When you have certain plants that feed other plants, how much faster they can grow. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Totally amazing to see it. You know, you're like, you are both little twigs, both of you. You started out the same, and then boom, this one took off, and this one's just like taking forever. That's why they'll say you probably won't eat chestnuts for 40 years. But the professor last week, who knows all about all this stuff, he's like, no, you'll be eating them in a few years. The way that sucker's growing, you'll have chestnuts on there, and I can't wait because I had my first hazelnut.
Okay.
I had my first hazelnut.
That's one of the things I want to grow.
Those over there. Those are hazelnut, purple filbert hazelnut. And this guy yesterday told me about some other varieties of filbert hazelnut. So I might go get cuttings from him. I can't believe the mess the birds are making. They're just making it. I just made this all nice and neat, and you could see my pathway. Again, like the other one that was over there, there's a pipe over here. Okay. That goes
That's
through
what
this, that starts on that side after the water comes down to the basin there. It comes out right here. And then I put the rocks again so
Okay.
that we don't have the wood chips fill in with soil. So if the water
Oh, and it just kind of trickles down
goes
this
right down
rock
this.
line.
Exactly. Except the
Ah,
birds keep making a mess for me. So did the deer. I had deer
That's what
prints
you-
yesterday in here. The deer are coming in here too.
You keep the stuff off of the rocks so that they stay rocks.
That's right.
They don't become rocks
We
in
want
dirt.
them to be a stream coming down like that. So I just make it nice and neat. Plus I want people to see, what we have here. So we try to keep it really nice. But I love wood chips. No weeds will grow in here. It keeps it from getting muddy. So I love wood chips as a pathway. And I'm waiting for another load of wood chips right now. But it is so amazing, and it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on. And then the other water system too, Josh, is 500 feet uphill by pressure and gravity. From that roof over here on the house, goes 500 feet up to a tank over here that overflows into all the basins down and then back through this pipe here. So everything is all designed.
You
in
built
there.
your own pond. It's just a tank
It's a
that
tank,
just slowly
and then it
lets stuff
slowly
down.
lets it out when
Because that's why they do ponds at the top, so that they slow.
they
You just
go down.
you don't have room for a full pond. You have a
Isn't
tank
that
instead.
wonderful?
I like it.
It really is. We designed all these with a great landscaper. Joshua Pendleton helped us design all this stuff because he learned permaculture too. So he thought it'd be really fun to put it in here.
Is it pretty? It's pretty. Oh no, it's right there. What is it, Josh? What do you see? What do you see?
You don't know? Is it a bird? No, it doesn't go tweet tweet. No. What is
It
it?
goes vroom vroom.
Rum rum? Yeah? No? Does it go woof woof? No. Does it go meow? No. What is it? What is it? You don't know? There's bulldozers over there. My neighbor's house was going to slide down the hill, and for a month
Oh
now,
man.
digging everything up, reinforcing.
Well, and you're up here.
Huge job. And this is all sand.
You're up on the hill.
We really are up on the
For
hill
sure.
and the mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is where the deer used to hang out.
You go up and
they
up and up
still
and up.
do. But I love it when a doe comes in my garden. And she
How do they get in?
oh, they can hop any fence.
Oh, I guess that makes
Uh-oh.
sense.
Oh, Josh,
You're worse than the
They're
birds.
doing what the birds do, making a big mess. We don't want to do that, sweetie. No.
We
gotta
want to keep
take
the wood
care
chips
of it.
clean.
We got to take care of it. It's a beautiful garden, huh, Josh?
I like it.
Is it fun? See, I let gojis go everywhere. The other valuable berry that you really want
Yeah,
to
you
get are
can't
called
go.
sea buckthorn berries.
That's what.
Because it has more nutrients in that berry than any other berry. It has omega-7, which is great for skin and eyes. It has, I have a natural master herbalist that comes through here and does herbal walks. That's why I learn all this stuff. And she's taught me so much. Tasha Nelson from Dr. Christopher's. And it has 190 other components in it. So Sobu and another company love to make skincare products out of it because it has so many rich things in it. I love to use it as well. I think it's wonderful.
So you do? Are they? The berries are growing here?
Yes, beautifully.
Because I know you had the bushes.
Yep, I have the bushes and the berries on the outside this year because I had to trim back. There were so many on the ones inside last year.
Yeah.
We trimmed it lower. But the one outside this year, that's a young baby of hers that grew outside the fence, was loaded with those.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And do they need to have the male and female?
I don't know, but I do have a set of males on one side and a set of females on the other. I think they might
grow.
I think they might.
I mean, as nitrogen fixers, you want as many of them as you can get anyway. So.
You want all of them.
Do you have any that are thornless?
No.
Or they're all?
Why do you want thornless? Can I tell you a secret that I figured out
Okay.
from nature?
Yes, please.
Okay. Have you tasted those big, plump, thornless blackberries?
Not thorn. I mean, I've had store-bought blackberries.
They might be thornless. Okay. There's no flavor.
There's not.
They're just water.
They're just a lot less,
But
yeah.
go taste one of the wild little blackberries
That we grew up
thorny
on.
ones, and they've got all that flavor. So
Yeah.
you know what I figured out? Because I saw this happen with other plants. Take out the thorn, take out the flavor. You're
Interesting.
taking out what's important to the plant.
To keep it
Why
safe.
would you want to modify the plant? Do we think we're smarter than God who created it? Why do we do things like that? Just leave it alone. It's perfect, okay? Oh, the little thorns are going to hurt you. Come on. You know, it's not that bad. So you don't
Okay.
worry about it. I love your waffle stompers. You know, that's what we used to call them when I was a kid. They were called waffle stompers.
What?
The boots?
His boots? Yes. Those were called waffle stompers because they have that tread.
Yeah.
So they're waffle stompers.
Hey.
They're cool, Josh. They're really cool, buddy. Yeah.
He's getting that tired
You know what?
but rambunctious.
He is. He's rambunctious, but he seems to be handling it well because Mom's really helping.
Yeah.
Mom's really taking care of you, Josh.
He doesn't always take this much energy.
What's the next age up?
8.
8
The next
years
one's
old.
yeah, 8.
So he's the handful for a while.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
There is kind of a
all
handful.
All handfuls.
Oh no.
Except for the 15-year-old,
The
she's pretty good.
oldest. She's pretty good. All the rest are
Is it a
handfuls.
girl or boy? Girl, 15?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet I'd love to bring her through here and see what she thinks.
She would probably love this.
I bet
She would-
Teenagers
She would love
this.
the wildlife.
The bird just flew in.
Yeah.
All
Josh,
this
stay
over
here.
here are gooseberries on the right.
No,
Oh.
don't
Watch
pull
out,
them.
Josh, because
Don't
they're
break those
prickly.
leaves.
They're prickly,
Those will give
prickly
you ouchies.
gooseberry. You go ouchie.
Which one's the gooseberry?
Right there under the Honeycrisp apple right there where Josh is standing.
Right. This little bush on the side.
Yeah. That's a whole row of gooseberries over there.
Mom.
Oh, you want Mom now?
Gooseberries along the edge.
These or down farther?
The bush.
The bush right
This guy.
Right in front of you.
Yeah,
Small leaves. Yeah.
but not
That's a gooseberry.
not that one.
That is a
'Cause that's-
Honeycrisp.
Yeah, that was an apple. Okay, I was like,
That's an apple.
but these are
But with
gooseberries.
the Gramps grapes that I saved, you see those little light purple grapes?
Yeah.
They're actually pretty good. I can't wait till they get bigger. Those are actually really, really good.
So these are the gooseberries, huh?
Yeah.
That's another one that I'm hoping to plant.
You gotta have all of them.
I know that.
And see, that is a red blood plum underneath all the grapevine right there. That's a red blood plum that's older. This is the oldest. That was probably 8 or 9 years old. And there's 2 peach trees that are about 8 or 9 years old as well. But everything else that you've seen here, except those 4 trees, were all planted
They're all
in
new.
the last 8 years. Yeah. It's all
Well,
new.
new. It's 8 years now.
I know. Well, some of them
That's
are 8
long
years
to get
old,
real.
some of them are younger. Because I've
Yeah.
added more since then. I always want to add more. Everybody's like, you got too much already in there.
Well, that's
I want to add more.
that's one of the things that I like about permaculture. I like collecting things,
And that's what makes it
just
fun.
in general. And so collecting
It's so fun
fruit.
to collect plants.
Yeah.
I love it. Especially go on KSL in the spring. And all these people that grow certain plants and trees are on there. And then go visit them as you go by their plants and trees. They'll tell you all about them. You learn so much from these people. They know their stuff because they've been growing it. And it's so fun to meet all these people that way. I had so much fun collecting plants. It just really is cool. I love it. I think it's wonderful. I know. So you're on my group. My Facebook group.
I'm on the Facebook group.
Utah Valley Permaculture Classroom Gardens.
Yep.
Will you do me a favor? Upload this video.
Oh yeah.
Would you?
For sure.
Thank you. So much so.
Although fair warning, I mean, like everybody else, fair warning. There's been a lot of Josh head poking through the video.
It doesn't matter.
Like,
That's what makes it
yeah.
fun.
It's for the joy of being
fun.
here.
Exactly.
And I keep remembering that I'm recording.
I know. But that's what makes it so fun is the kids interacting with nature. You know, while you're learning, you may not think he's picking anything up here, but I promise you he's picking certain things up. Yeah. He's picking up lots of things, and he's getting all the healthy microbes and the pure air that we're breathing in here, the energy that's in here. Healers come in here, and they think it's just high frequency of energy. Nature's so strong and happy in here, you know, that they can feel it. That's what's beautiful.
See, and that's, to me, I feel like it'd just be good. All of our kids have ADD, and it's just the ability for them to come and be in a more peaceful place.
And also, I promise you, as you grow this nutrient-dense, super healthy food in your forest, that's going to slow down that ADD. It'll calm it down. I promise. Food is everything. Nutrition is everything, you guys. And so when you grow this kind of food, the kids will be foraging on nuts and fruit and berries, right? And root crops and everything. They're going to get so healthy. It'll help. It really does. It makes a huge difference.
That's cool though, that, I don't know, at least seeing all of the straw makes it more evident of like how your beds are laid out and all of that, and that's kind of cool.
You really see the contrast from the straw to the wood chip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that.
And I didn't see that in any of the other videos.
You can't see it. Yeah.
But
I don't film where I'm walking, I guess.
yeah. Well, I mean, and just the contrast of, because it's literally a contrast of
really is
dark to light right now.
I think it's pretty.
Yeah.
Every year I actually like the contrast, you know? And then you see the apricot leaves covering the ground. It'll be all yellow. Oh, it's beautiful. As it shimmers with the light, look at those leaves changing over there. And that light coming through. Is that not just artwork? It's so beautiful. Hi, Buddy. How are you? Hi, Josh. Do you see that over there? Isn't that pretty? See the red colors and the golden? And then we're going to have a canopy tree that'll actually canopy over the apricot tree, because he's almost the tallest tree in here. But eventually that ash tree growing over there is going to be the canopy up above.
Oh, okay.
But we're going to have to bring them back a little this way. They're trying to grow out.
Will that not take away most of the sun? I mean, I mean, that's part of its point.
Look at all of Jeff Lawton's food forests that he films. Okay. And see that filtered light of a forest? That's what you want. You want a filtered light. Did you get stuck in there, buddy?
Because I've always pictured it the other way, where you have the big tall trees on the north.
Canopy.
Yeah, but on the north, and so then the sun's coming from the south. But no, I mean, that's obviously on your south.
Yeah.
That you're having your big canopy tree.
When you walk through the forest that he takes you to, including his and Zaytuna Farm, you will see it's an enclosed canopy system.
Wow.
You're creating this effect.
Wow.
Yeah, let me take you back to
You're back around.
A little too much.
So what do you think, Amber?
I think it's great. I do love it.
Do you want one of these? Your family.
It is nice to be in. I do like that.
She was just laughing at the contrast from your neighbor's yard to your yard.
It's huge, isn't it? Big difference. And I'd rather live in here than out there. That's why they don't come out in their yards in the summer.
Really?
They don't even come out ever. You only see them get in their car and go away.
That's what we saw them get in their car and go away.
Nobody sits outside anymore.
That's too hot.
But that's so sad.
Yeah.
I had sacrament. My memories of COVID is having sacrament service right here. Church in my forest.
Yeah.
That was the coolest memory of COVID for me, is sitting and having church in this forest was so amazing. With my neighbors.
And
It
you
was
just,
so cool. It was so cool.
that would
I
be
loved
so
it.
amazing.
It really is. It's so amazing to be in here. And I'll live stream in here. One time, there was a doe just on the other side right there, just munching. And I'm sitting in my hammock. And I started live streaming on my Facebook group. And all these people started joining in. And somebody who's been following me, it's really cool, and he'd like to bring all the other fellow mayors to tour this forest, is Eagle Mountain Mayor Tom Westmoreland.
Okay.
And he's tuning in. And that's just when my phone decided that I didn't have internet connection and cut it off. But we were trying to look through all, because it was dense through here. Now it's losing all its leaves and stuff. But it was so dense, but you still could make out this head of this doe over there munching. It was so cool. And everybody was watching with me. It was really cool.
Wow.
I just loved it. I was like, this is so fun. Look at how many people I can reach from my food forest.
Right.
To the internet.
You can just, yeah.
You can reach everybody
The
around
internet.
the world.
Yeah.
And they could see what you are sitting in.
I mean, you just really, I mean, Utah's a place full of gardeners.
Yes.
But there's so few of them that are doing something like
That
this.
are learning. They just haven't
That are
learned
doing
yet.
the full deal.
Once they discover it, they love it. It makes sense. Even farmers. Once they understand nature does all the work, and they see what's possible, and they see you don't have to kill yourself.
Yeah.
You don't need to.
And like, yeah, I mean, you got birds coming in, hanging out on your apricot tree,
Everywhere.
and just,
It's beautiful. You see insects that normally you wouldn't see because they're attracted to this environment. It's absolutely beautiful. I love it so much.
yeah.
I really do. Yeah. But I can show you if you want to.
Yeah.
Come in for a second.
100%.
I'll show you. Besides the designs of Paul that I showed you, I've got some other ones of other people.
Ooh, I brought mine.
You brought yours?
You can check mine out.
Okay. Let's go check it out.
It's just on little graph paper, not big graph paper.
That's okay. It's your sketch.
Yeah.
We'll draw it to scale so you can really cut it, you know? I've got big graph paper inside. We draw it all to scale. Once I get all the measurements of all the existing features, all the buildings, the structures, where the big trees are, all the permanent existing features, you give me all the measurements for all that, and I'll teach you with your A-frame and then the measuring tape of where your contour line points are.
Oh, you use the A-frame to measure.
How do you,
That's interesting.
No, you use a measuring stick.
Okay, I was gonna say I use my A-frame for contour.
You're finding the contour, but you're
Yeah.
going to mark each point. Then we're going to measure from a 0 point of the house out to each of those points. 2 measurements each, so I can draw it to scale. This is how professional landscapers do it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you're doing a really professional design, not just a sketch.
Is that a fig?
I wanted to learn to do it the
Different.
right way. The best, you know, so you can have the best results. That's what I wanted to learn, you know, and teach people to do it right.
And that's your greenhouse.
That's my attached center.
That's just,
Yep. Isn't that beautiful? So we'll slip our little flip-flops here off.
okay.
You can tell this is a garden school. And right now we're in the middle of harvest, so it's like, oh.
Do you have beehives then?
I do have one. I only want
Okay.
one. Yep.
Yeah.
It could sit right there.
Okay.
I only want one. That's plenty. What we can do. These are my beautiful mullein leaves. They're so soft. And I like to dry them. I think they're beautiful. But this is still Paul's. Just another copy of Paul's right there. But they have different ones. And I love just getting plants together for everybody. I just love doing stuff like that. This was our permablitz last year on 40 acres by Scipio at Becky's place. We went down and put in this part of it, all these trees and berry bushes, did the trenches of water on contour that she can take off the roof of her house, bring out too, and some canopy trees. We got poplar. We transplanted 3 of Grant's trees. The peach is the one that's doing the best right now. It's amazing. It's so beautiful.
You've got F4.
So that would be a fruit tree.
F6. Okay, so you got then a peach tree with all those bee
CF1,
with the berries around it.
F3.
Gotcha. Okay, okay.
That's the trees. and the berry bushes. The B's are the berry bushes. The C's are the canopy tree of the poplars. Yeah, and we draw it all to scale because this is a 40-acre property, but this is only part of it.
Sheesh.
Yeah. I know, she has a lot to do.
Well, we've been looking
So
for
much.
5 acres because that's what I really want. 5 acres to me is the ideal.
It would be.
And
But you can do a small yard.
but yeah, I mean,
Matthew,
seeing yours like
this was his front yard in Sandy over 7 years ago.
that. See, this is much
that
more how
much.
I would end up doing it, where it's all
Yeah.
digital.
Yeah, that's what you can do. You can do it on
Oh,
Illustrator.
yeah, that's just
or
a tiny
SketchUp.
little thing.
Yeah, just a small yard. You know, and now he's moving out to the desert where he's going to design 2 acres. This was a horse property in Bluffdale the year before that we put in as our permanent blitz with 7 hugel beds all together.
So
Okay.
your straw
a
piles out there,
pond.
are they hugel beds?
This one here is not kitchen garden,
No,
but
but
those
those ones
guys are.
were. Okay,
Those are
okay.
definitely big hugel beds.
'Cause that's why they're mounted up so high.
And they're 8 years old. This is
Wow.
Bob's in Payson. This beautiful place. He designed, but it's a small front and backyard. Catching water off the roof and moving it through. You know,
Where's
as catch water comes down.
Where's the house? Is that the blue in the
This
middle?
is the
Okay,
house.
okay. That's not just
That's
the title.
structure. That's the
Wow. and it's
patio
just-
cover. Yeah. He did beautifully.
Yeah.
Put in where the winds come through.
Yeah, we
Everything.
get winds.
Really well done. Very cool.
And he's got a little elevation map on there too.
Yes.
That's
Isn't
cool.
that cool? It's fun, huh? All the students come up with different things they can do. And then this one here is the Olin 7 acres down in Benjamin, Utah. This was about 6 years ago, I think. This is 7 acres.
Do they do videos of these?
I wish. I begged them to. But they
I
never
should
do.
see if I'm able to come down and just video them all.
It would be wonderful. I know.
I'm
It would
hoping
be
to make a
really
YouTube
wonderful.
channel at some point
Yeah, that's what Bob
as
did.
part of my stuff.
But you really, really have to have content.
This is the one that
Isn't this gorgeous? 40-foot pond
John
right
Kohler
there.
was showing this one, right?
Yeah,
It
he
looks
held
like
this
the one
up.
that he had. Okay.
Yeah, it's the one he was holding up.
Whoa.
They
that's
just
text.
put the house in. I know, look at all
He's
that.
got so many trees and
Look
stuff.
at all the different things they researched to put in. I know, it was really cool. He did a good job.
That was
The only
really
thing that
cool.
was missing,
So
we have to
that's-
flip. They're going to have a store to sell all the rare berries and fruit. Is these are facing west and they would block each other. So I said, you got to separate them and you got to have them long ways south facing. That's the only thing that they would do different.
So that's 2 acres.
It's 7.
7 acres. Okay.
7
Okay.
acres. This is a big guy.
That is a big.
Yeah. This is really big in permaculture terms, right? Because you don't need that much space.
Because yeah,
You really don't.
I mean 1 acre is a lot.
1 acre can feed 10 people if designed right, they say in the Farm for the Future.
Yeah.
Martin says that, but you don't need to have that much acreage, you know. And so this is what I offer in, actually I can show you over here. So every year I do an open house. This was our open house this year, our 8th annual. It's our birthday party every year of the food
Yeah.
place.
Okay.
So that was our 8th annual open house. We did tours all day long, and you can see those on Facebook.
Yeah, I watched one of them yesterday.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, so this is the A. Yeah, see, my A-frame. I just grabbed a couple of boards that I had,
Yeah.
and then I have a little wrench hanging from the string.
But you don't need to use the plumb line, the weight. You just go get yourself a nice little level, attach it to that middle bar.
Okay.
Much quicker than waiting for that string to finally stop. Okay.
That's interesting.
That just takes way
That's
too
a
long.
good tip.
But so anyway, if you can just shut that off, that'll be okay. But do you mind
Yeah.
uploading
Oh, yeah.
to